Hello and a warm welcome on today's show on GoldenMuseTV. It's World Book Night today, and it's about celebrating the joy of reading, the magic of books, the power that books have actually given to you personally at some point in your life, liberating you, inspiring you, creating possibilities for you. And I believe that's what books are here for us for. You know, they're here to inspire, to empower, to show us there's another way, to show us that somebody else's story can actually have an impact on your way of perceiving life and believing that there's more in life. That's what I feel about my books. My connection with the books is really strong. I have always loved reading books. And on today's show here, I'm really excited and delighted because I've got a number of people that have already written their own books, or they're in the process of writing books or collaborating in the creation of a book. Myself, I'm a broadcaster. I've been involved with radio broadcasting for the last 8 years, and now I've been for the last 2.5 years, I'm hosting the GoldenMuseTV platform, which is again a fantastic platform to connect with one another. And also to lift you up, all of you that believe in holistic health and healing and alternative ways of being, of experiencing life. Yeah. So that's my intention and my passion. Apart from, also myself involved with holistic health and healing through calotherapy and calopsychology and heart intelligence, but it's not only about what I'm bringing individually, but how together what we can do, how we can make an impact in other people's lives. And it's the collective energy that I'm really, really passionate about. So why books? Why are we celebrating books? Why is it so important to press pause and think and feel the importance of books? This is a question I'm opening up to all of you. If somebody would like to share your vision, your own way of connecting with books, at what point somebody may have had a particular experience reading a book that changed your life. I would love to know about that, and I think it would be wonderful to share with everybody else out there. Probably if they haven't read the book, maybe they will be inspired to read the book. Okay. So warm welcome to Dean Stuart. Hello, Dean. Hi.
Hi.
To Nichola Friel. Hi, Nichola.
Hi there.
To Maureen Brindle. Hello, Maureen.
Hi.
To Sue Williams. Hi,
Hello.
Sue.
Hi.
And to Sherine Lovegrove. Hi, Sherine. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So are we all based in the UK? Are you all here in the UK? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, the wonder of this beautiful online system is I've had people joining from other countries in the world, which is great stuff. Okay, so one of the books that actually really, really inspired me when I was in my 20s was The Alchemist. And in a way, I'm my own alchemist as well by working with color and helping you, empower you to alchemize your own life. So although I'm not in my 20s anymore, but The Alchemist was a fantastic, it was one of the books that really, really sort of said to me, just follow your heart, basically. And the whole universe will conspire to make it happen. And it was actually true. Lots of things happened since then. And it all starts from the belief that we have inside us and following what we want. And we believe that it's actually possible. So anybody else who's had an experience or connection with a book that you would like to share? Who would like to come next? Dean?
Yeah, when I was in my early 20s, I sort of lost my way a bit. I did the university thing, got my first job, and the corporate world didn't really sort of sit with me, and I ended up back home with my parents. And my dad gave me a book called The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone's come across that. And it's about the theme of self-determination, and very much, although I haven't read The Alchemist, in fact it's on my list. just hearing you talk about it, I've decided I'm finally going to get it, because it's been on one of the, I don't know whether you have a book list of books you intend to read. Well, The Alchemist has been on mine. I'm going to get it now.
Yes.
And it very much follows that theme. It's sort of set in America, and it's written, I think the right term is an allegory. It's around architects, and one architect sells out to just get as much money, and the other one holds on to his integrity and just does what he believes in. And I sort of know why my dad gave it to me, and it had a profound effect on me, and I very much related to the character with all the integrity. But I could never, I don't think I was, what's the word, mature enough or open enough or wise enough, whatever word you want to put on, to really be able to learn from it. And it sort of, although it had a profound effect on me, bizarrely, it sort of almost took me in a direction that actually perhaps wasn't that helpful to me for a number of years. And but now I can see it for what it is, and I think of it a lot, and that's probably because of the, where I am in my own mind now compared to where I was when I read it in the first place. But it was it's a book, and the writer Ayn Rand has a very polarizing effect. A lot of people, there's an Ayn Rand Foundation in America. It's viewed as being a very right-wing organization because of the idea of self-determination, and it's seen as being not a very sympathetic or empathetic approach to life. I personally don't see it that way. I think that's a particular judgment and a particular way that people react to it, rather than getting underneath the skin of what the story's about. Because for me, actually, and this is what you and I were talking about the other day, Chrisoula, actually what it's about is the human spirit.
Yes.
And that's exactly what it's about. And now I can appreciate that more because of the journey I've been on, because I was resistant to all that way of thinking way back then. It wasn't something that resonated with me, although it was a very powerful story. So that was the book that did it for me.
Wow. So it's a few things there, that sometimes we read a book at a particular time in our lives, and some things are sinking in and we're accepting, some other things we don't because we are not ready yet. And then sometimes we are reading the book again, because I've read The Alchemist again, for example, and then this is and something else sort of revealed, and then it was available to me then, and that's what the books are, actually the magic of books, I find, Dene.
Absolutely. And I must have read the Fountainhead about 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, there you go.
Over the years. Yeah.
And I don't want to show off, but I've read it in other languages too. Anyway, this is another beauty. The other beauty of it, when you can actually appreciate a book in another language. My mother tongue is Greek, but I read it in English and also in French. So it's fabulous. You pick it up in different ways as well.
I'm sure.
Beautiful. Well, it's the magic of words, and based on the magic of words, I would love to hear from Sue and Maureen one of their poems, because I find the way words are used in writing as a way of expression and communication of feelings and images, and how you can reach out to the others, how you can reach to people's hearts. It's, for me, poems are really, really powerful. And then for me, it's also, writing is very cathartic and very, very beautiful, very empowering, but actually reading poems and connecting with poems is another way forward. I don't know whether you have ever felt that poems is a way forward for you, but sometimes there are certain poems that stick with you. There's a particular one that I love. It's called The Invitation, and I shared it on my Facebook page a few hours ago. And there's another one that I really also love. Is I think it's called Invictus. Yes. maybe somebody like probably Sue or Maureen can actually help me with that, because the poem, it says, I am the captain of my soul. Can you relate to that poem at all? Yes. Have you ever come across the? Anyway, I think I'm going to share it in the group, Life Inspired Conversations group we've got, and I'll share it as I haven't got it in front of me. But that's another thing, how you can follow your heart and be the master of your own journey, basically, with all the challenges and all the difficulties, but also all the beauty as well, all the lovely things that come along, all the gorgeous people that come into your life or experiences. So let's move to a poem, because I like to have a little bit of like a bit of mix and flow into the show. Yes, and also I like to welcome Sue Ritchie. Hi, Sue, and Jason, who is trying to connect with us as well. Beautiful. So Sue, I'll come to you first. Sue Williams, I'll come to you first, because we have two Sues. Let me just be clear about it. So I'll come to you first, and will you please share one of your poems, one of your poems from your collection, the book you've recently published, I Am Unique.
Yes, certainly. I'm going to read the one called Celebration, because again we're celebrating World Book Day. So, lost in the daily maze, too often we forget to celebrate. We go about our tasks, moving from one to the next, become irate, frazzled, civilly vexed. Perhaps it's because we left it too late to celebrate. To achieve takes time. There is reason in the rhyme in our reason. Constant as the changing season, life moves on. Little time to revisit, ponder on how creative flow addresses those intricacies, our successes. Stand back, admire the view, as the artist purveys her oil-filled hue. Gaze anew in awe and wonder at the brushstrokes fine, reflected shine of golden gown. I dare you, smile, appreciate, disown that jaundiced frown. Celebrate with pride. Before you resurrect your easel, pick up your fork, garnish your glass. Pop goes the weasel. Dance, rejoice, shout and sing. Invite friends to join right in. It's in the celebration of our gifts that the wisest truly win. That's celebration, as I say.
Beautiful. It is very appropriate because we're celebrating today. Absolutely. And it is dare to put a smile on your face or something along these lines. It's like, yes, just dare to just appreciate, even though things can be a bit hectic and stressful and difficult and hard sometimes. Still, how can you find the strength to just say, yeah, well, let's celebrate life, irrespective. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know that's a speciality of yours, Chrisoula.
It is, yes.
Just wanted to ask you, when you were just talking about, was it I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul?
That's it, yes.
William Ernest Henley, is that what you're referring to?
That's it, yes, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, so if I would like to, just from your perspective, I would like to just give you the space to say, for those people that haven't ever written poetry or they haven't even started writing, what would you say to them? How can we encourage them? And that's something, that I will ask you, other writers or authors. I don't know whether you call yourself a writer or an author. I don't know. Other people, on today's call, what would you say to somebody who hasn't even written or thinking about it, but says, no, I'm not going to do this, it's too hard, I don't know where to start from? I bet everybody has gone through the same thing, right? You felt like, oh, it's a big thing, how am I going to do it? And so what would you say to them?
I think I would say it's about maybe taking the pressure off, not sort of thinking, you know, to start too big and, you know, about writing the perfect poem or thinking about writing a novel straight off from scratch. I think it's good to start with either some simple writing exercises or some journaling or something like that, just to get into the habit and the flow of writing.
Yeah.
So probably start some sort of daily practice. I started with the morning pages, which is basically writing in the morning each day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there are obviously other ways of journaling at different times of the day. Can be gratitudes at night, that kind of thing, or just really carrying a notebook and pad and pen around and journaling when something comes to you. Perhaps if you're sat outside, you know, in the park at lunchtime.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about making a start really, and just experimenting as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you know, there are various writing prompts and things like that people can try out. You can look those up online or in books. So I think it's about taking the pressure off and just, you know, experimenting and letting the writing flow and being creative really with it.
Yeah, thank you. It is about experimenting, and also they say the first hour, when, you know, the morning time, it is the best time to really, you know, sort of, even if you want to set your intentions or writing a journal, as you said, or even put some thoughts down. It's the best time of the day. I don't know whether it works for the others, but for me, I find it really, it's my creative time in the morning. I find it, although I can work later in the evening sometimes, but I think it's the best time when the ideas come to me, and then I get that like, okay, all right, okay, the inspiration comes in, and I'm moving forward with the rest of the day. So yeah, fabulous. Thank you, Sue. Thank you so much. So let's. Is there anybody else who would like to talk about that, your own personal sort of recipe, if you like, to writing or to expressing yourself? Is there anybody else? Would you like? If you do, you know, put your hand up. Yeah, Maureen, fantastic.
I think actually that you just get an idea and it comes into your head, and you write it down. Everything just starts with one sentence. And then it flows from that.
Okay. Has it always been like that for you, Maureen? You know, like writing out a sentence, and then after that things will flow?
Yes.
Okay.
Or maybe just a couple of words.
All right. Okay.
And it just flows, whether it's a novel or a poem or a script or anything, whatever you're writing, because it's all different mediums that you're writing in.
Yeah. Well, you have been involved with writing poetry, but also you are involved with other things. Would you like to share just a little bit about the other things, your contribution to the writing world?
Yes, well, I write biographies and for We Care for Humanity in New York, and they are you have to, you know, be absolutely correct when you're writing a biography.
Yes. So that's a different type of
different type of writing entirely.
Yeah.
And I like to write fiction. I like to write science fiction. But I also like, you have to do a lot of research as well.
Yeah.
Or, you know, otherwise, you know, it will what you write will not be right. Completely.
Yes.
You have to have a basis of fact.
So, but based on, because we have discussed, and you have been on my shows before, based on what I've known about you, your relationship with poetry is a very, very beautiful one. Can you tell us a little bit about that? You know, what is poetry to you?
Well, it's life, really. Poetry. I write about stories. I write all different types of poetry. At one time, I used to review 100 poems a week for Amazon. So and you learn really all the different types of poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And you come to appreciate them, like acrostics and, every single type of poetry, it's different.
Yes. Yes.
And you have to have a basis for what you're doing, and study the subject really. And you can write a poem about anything in the world, and it's very concise, and it also, it has a punch. If you believe in something really deeply, and you want to put your point of view across quickly, then a poem is the best way to do it, really. And what it is for me, but it might be a long theory for somebody else, but for me, I find it better to do it in a poem because it's stronger.
Well, will you share one of your poems with us? Both Sue Williams and Maureen Brindle will be actually contributing in the Book of Soulful Musings, the book I'm actually in the process of writing, and poems will be part of the book as well, because I find, from the way I like to see the book is about holistic health and well-being. So I believe that poetry brings that sense of well-being in our lives. So which poem are you going to read for us?
Well, I'm going to read Soulful Musings.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Soulful musings are from the heart. Only Aristotle knew of the soulful part. Understanding, intelligent dreaming, love's response, heartfelt musing, filling from self-love within, uniting humanity beneath the skin. Living, healing powers begin. Musing in the sun's golden light, unlimited spirit shining bright, shining with dreams unknown, in history's greatness shown. Never only the writing on the page. Greatness is information's golden age.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. This is also what I shared at the pre-launch event on Thursday, the 19th of April, that some of you joined us on that day. And we had a beautiful day. It was a sunny, warm spring day, and all about, celebrating growth and new beginnings and possibilities. Because we have got so much information around us. This is like, it's not like we are actually not knowing where to find the information, or the information is going to reach us anyway, because we are bombarded with news from various channels, right? So we are blessed in a way, but also we are overwhelmed by it, don't you think? There's a lot of information going on. So what I believe is that the books, it's not just there for information. I mean, you can choose books for specific information, of course you do, but the books for me is all about inspiration, and that's where I come from. So let me thank you more. Let me move to another author in our gathering tonight. I like to come to you, Sherine, because you have got your book out as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yes, and I love and I love your I love your surname too.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So Sherine, what's the name of your book? Just tell us a little bit about what you've written.
Yeah, the book is the aha moment.
Mm-hmm. And we have got a number of aha moments in our life. I bet we do.
Yeah. And and the subline is how to maximize results for the least amount of effort. It was basically I kind of knew there was a book in me, but I've written lots of things, but I've never really compiled them into something that I thought was useful. I've done textbooks and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I hadn't done anything that was more creative, but also something that would allow me to expose myself in a way that I probably needed to expose myself. So the aha moment was when I found that I could lose weight effortlessly and easily, but not just that, that I knew that losing the weight that I was going to lose had a very specific health benefit in the fact that it would help me with my brain. So that was really important, given that, we're all probably in some way involved in the health field, but it was really specifically, I wanted targeted action. I do something called creative healing, which is very organ specific kind of massage. And so I wanted to work in a way that was going to be, or lose my weight that was going to be more specifically targeted for that. So the aha moment was when I realized that I had found the right thing for me that would do that, and also realized that I'd put things in place in a way that allowed me to recognize that that was it. I think what often happens is we have an idea, but we don't, opportunities miss us by because we're not really focused or pay attention to things. But when you focus first, all of a sudden, as you said early on, this universe conspires to help us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it conspires to help us because now we're our antennas are alive.
Switched on. Yes.
Yeah, and so we take in lots of information that we wouldn't ordinarily take in.
Mm.
And in a way, our brain is a computer, and it's taking stock of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's busy collating information until everything is in play. And when everything's in play, that's when the aha moment happens. I think. That's my thoughts.
Yes.
We have lots of insights, but insights don't necessarily lead to any action. They can just be insights.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So there's this difference of having ahas as opposed to an insight. And I was in Switzerland talking about how do we chase the aha? How do we chase it in order to create transformation?
Mm-hmm.
So that's I think at the minute, there's quite a lot of research going on with regards to using mind-altering drugs to create aha effects to prolong relapse times. So I've been really looking at, well, if we can generate these, how do we generate them consistently? Yes. So that we don't have to go to drugs, but that we then, we manage those periods of time where we might relapse and stay on track. So it's a little bit more complicated, but that is essentially what the book is about, my journey and my struggles. So I developed a model called the I CAN model, mm-hmm. which, a lot of people that have done transformation and talk about it, they follow the similar steps. But I'm looking at it from the direction of looking at to create the aha moment. So more the structure, how do we know each way, where we are, what's the gateway? Yeah,
well,
so I'm interested.
That's very, very intriguing, Sherine. That's very intriguing. Yes, very good. And I don't know. I haven't read your book yet. I'm looking forward to reading your book. It's. I would like to rely on drugs to get the aha moments.
Well, I think everything has its purpose. Lots of spiritual practices use it. And I went to a ceremony yesterday.
Oh, that's great. Yes, I have been in this kind of ceremony. Yes.
Yeah, you don't need a lot of mind-altering drugs. You don't need a huge dose. You just need enough to tip you to a space where you.
No, but that's natural. That's okay. I'm all with it. Yeah.
But they're still drugs.
Yes.
They're just more organic.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I think that I truly do believe that if we have, our brain is like multiple. It's got so many things that are going on all the time. But when you create a state of readiness, because when you're saying the universe is conspiring, it's like your brain is getting hot wired.
Mm-hmm.
I think, this is my metaphor for it, your brain's getting hot wired and it's getting excited. And so all those areas that are starting to light up, which then means you're starting to pay attention, because when we're excited, we notice things much more. But also that means that the brain is starting to fire much, much faster, much quicker. And so, so when you get to this critical mass period, what happens is that it's almost like you get a flooding in the brain.
Yeah, actually, yeah. How do you maximize that point? I guess that's what it is. How can you really, because it could actually go past you in a way if you don't know how.
Yeah, and if you have a belief or something that's getting in the way, you might not create enough of an aha. So you've really got to do quite a lot of. I won't say you have to have a lot of inner work, but you need to recognize when it comes. I think. Even if you get a massive one, you do need to know that what's the next step. So there must be a commitment somewhere in there that when you know, you're going to act. I think that's quite an important aspect. Yeah.
Yes. I do believe in commitment in whatever we are embarking, exploring or embarking, trying, or as a therapy, as a way forward, as a change or transformation, as you mentioned before. Commitment is definitely the way forward, I would think, because if you're not committed, you can just start and then halfway through you can just give up. That's it.
Well, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, it's a journey, and Dean's now, he's back.
Yes.
But I had an event happen to me, a really quite profound spiritual experience, and I was in that spiritual experience, and I was told, "You are the creator, you are the creation," and I said, "But that would make me God," and whoever it was said, "Yes, and so is everybody else. We're all God."
Yes.
And I was too young to understand it. So Dean, it's similar, I suppose, in a way. And I just couldn't do anything about it because I was in a circle at the time, a healing circle, and they immediately said, "Sacrilege, that's bad." And I just shut down.
Oh, no.
But I didn't understand that actually we're so powerful because we've developed as a way to think differently. And it's the thinking that creates, yes, it can be our worst nightmare when we predict futures, but it also gives us the powerful ability to go into altered states, which then allows us to be able to become the co-creator, because we're not negatively impacting ourselves through our critical voice. So yeah, it just and it was only when I actually had that aha experience I thought, oh my God, this is coming back. Now I know. And even though as a therapist I kind of understood, I didn't understand. It was only until I actually really experienced that moment that I realized, yes, I am a creator. You can write, you can do a lot of things, but if you don't feel it, if you don't have the embodied feeling, I suppose that's where everyone has their kind of moment of illumination and brilliance.
Yes. Well, the embodiment, as you touched before, is anybody here in our gathering? Anybody of you would like to add anything or to contribute in what we just talked about with Sherine? Is anybody here you believe, if you say I am God in a body, that you say, what are you talking about? What's that all about? Is anybody still feels a little bit like, no, there's no way I can say that? That actually, that was the case with me. A few years ago, I wouldn't possibly. If someone says to me, I am God in a body, or you can say I am spirit in a body, or you can use other words if you like. If God is too much of too heavy for you or too much for you, it wouldn't be the case for me, because there were lots of other religious connotations and lots of other conditioning from my upbringing, and then I wouldn't allow it. But then the more you realize that we are body, yes, but our spirits, the body is a vessel for our spirits. Then you start developing that connection with that spiritual self, and then yes, you can ask. Now I can say that I am God in a body, and I teach that to my, I teach that in my training when I teach psychology, because it is very empowering where you say you can create your own life. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Sherine. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Looking forward to reading your book and find out more of your aha moment, because you're not going to say.
Well, it's on its way.
Fabulous. And then we're going to have your interview as well scheduled very soon. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now talking about body, I think, and I will come to you, Nichola, because you work with our fabulous and very, very, I am one of them. I don't know. I do take my body for granted sometimes. I do. I sit here long hours doing lots of interesting creative work. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm sitting because somebody makes me sit. But I do sit at long hours, and then there are lots of other people out there, probably some of you here, that we do the same thing. But there's an impact on our bodies, and that's where Nichola comes in. And then you are actually helping Nichola to release the tension that we create on our body. So, so there you are now. And this is the system you work with, the modality or the practice you work with is called body stress release, right? So you can actually talk now, Nichola, because you're
right.
There you are. That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody else for the insight on writing and doing poems. Possibly I should put pen to paper. Listening.
Yes.
Well, first of all, a book that was inspiring for me was actually the Body Stress Release book, because it just gave more insight as to what I've studied, case histories and things that have gone on. So for the people that don't know, body stress release is, we don't treat, we don't diagnose. So for argument's sake, if you're on medication for high blood pressure, I wouldn't fiddle with the blood pressure comes down, because it's known to with body stress release, and go and hopefully get a lower dosage for that, or possibly come off of it. Yes, sitting Chrisoula is not a good thing, because that affects all parts of the body. It affects all the muscles, it affects the tendons, all the organs. So ultimately, every, say, 40-45 minutes, you should be getting up and going and having a walk around, stretching a bit. Just, even if you go to the loo, or get up to make yourself a cup of coffee, that's a movement. And also with that break, it also gives you a break for the writers to get a little bit of diversion and come back to then where you possibly need to be. There's 3 types of stress that we deal with. So the physical one is what we just spoke about, the sitting down all day, carrying heavy handbags.
I was doing that as a teacher for many years. Yeah, carry on.
Just holding a bag. Ladies carry very heavy handbags. I mean, I don't know what they carry, because in that handbag, what do they need? They need their phone, their car keys, and their purse, and maybe a stick of lipstick. So whenever clients come to see me and I see a heavy handbag, I'll say, you need to like offload that a little bit. You don't need everything. So we've got the physical stress, bending down incorrectly. That's a postural thing. Another posture is sleeping on your stomach.
Oh.
You can't breathe by sleeping on your stomach. So what you're doing is you're twisting your neck to the side the whole night. So that twists the spinal column, which is not the normal angle. So for anybody who sleeps on their stomach, my advice is start trying to sleep on your sides or your back. So there's your physical stresses. You've got emotional stress. Emotional stress is feelings, emotions. You could have had a fight with a loved one, You've had no argument at work. It could be a happy emotion, a promotion at work, or somebody's had a baby. You know, you've got all these emotions that go on. And then the third one that we deal with is chemical stress. That's quite a difficult one, because chemical stress is, it could be anything. It could be perfume. It could be the grass. It could be your washing powder, detergents. So that's quite a hard one to assess.
Yes.
For clients that battle with migraines, sometimes I think it's associated to chemical stress, but it's generally stored in tension in the neck. Get rid of that stored in tension in the neck, and we can help those clients to get less and less and less migraines. They might still get them on odd occasion, but a lot less severe. So body stress release on a whole works on the whole body. We don't work on portions of the body, we'll work on the whole body.
Well, that's what I really appreciate also from the people that are involved in contributing in the Book of Soulful Musings, which the first one is about holistic health and well-being. It's you see the body, you know, as a whole, and then also you see how the emotions affect the body, how our mental stresses affect the way that, you know, it has an impact on our health as well. And Dene can actually talk to us about mind and how the mindset, you know, can create your perception about life as well, and whether you succeed or not succeed, or all of that. So yes, that's and then if we are in pain, unfortunately, whatever pain that is, whatever that pain is in our system, we cannot be whole. We cannot be full. We cannot perform in full capacity either. So that's exactly, you know, that's exactly why, you know, I our conversations about body stress release, I hope that they will give some release, if you like, some inspiration for others to realize that there's another way for them to live life without pain, and that's one of the reasons. And then also pain release is for me also connected with not being addicted to drugs. You know, that you know, drugs, like meaning like chemical drugs. That's what I mean by drugs. You know, like the addiction to that is something that although I will take drugs, you know, like when the doctor suggests it, you know, I will go ahead and do it. But I would, if there's another way forward, I would choose the natural remedy, if possible. If possible.
Yeah. You know, people need to get their well-being back. People think that, oh well, you know, my family, I come from a sufferer of migraines in my family. It's passed down through the lines. It's not necessarily passed down through the lines. It's just incorrect posture, incorrect. You've fallen, you've done certain things. So people think, oh well, you know, I get up in the morning because I'm getting old and I hobble around. You don't have to hobble around when you get out of bed. It's not normal. So what body stress release does is we help with all those kinds of things. I don't have a job. I don't go to work. I absolutely love what I do. So it's not work for me. This is my sanctuary. I'm in my practice at the minute, and this is my sanctuary. This is where I enjoy being. It's not work. Fabulous.
Beautiful. That's it. You know, celebrating what we're doing and what we're bringing to the world. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nichola. It's also probably I would like to move on to another guest on tonight's show, because it's about, you know, sometimes we are just giving up on the possibilities, and you know that, you know, oh, this is the way it has been, then I will just compromise with it and I will carry on living like that. And I say a big no. There's no need to actually give up on your health or what's the best for you. And that's what I love for every single one of you, you know, to seek for the alternative, seek for the possibility, seek for the better, you know, and then you know, why not? Why compromise? And I guess that's what the books are offered to us as well, and books that that they give us that alternatives to see things from a different perspective, and say, if you're stuck somewhere, there's another way forward as well, and inspired to move on. But talking about mindset, I like to come to Jason. Thank you, Nichola. I like to come to Jason because Jason works with mindfulness. He's very much into mindfulness, but also connects with another type of healing you might have come across. You might have actually experienced shamanic healing, so including Tai Chi as well. So there's a mix of practices there, modalities there that Jason brings in. So hello, Jason.
Hello, Chrisoula. Hello, everyone. Yes, it's lovely to be here with you all. Yes, my practice, one of my practices is the sweat lodge, or Temazcal as it's called in Mexico, which is a purification ceremony, and it's something that helps to bring you back into equilibrium and balance, but it also helps to connect you to the earth and to each other, and to feel that connection, which I've talked about before. But that is something that too often, we do lose that sense of connection, that sense of unity, and so the sweat lodge ceremony is very powerful at bringing us back, and helping us to reestablish that connection. Probably similar to what Sherine was talking about, using mind-altering substances, which I do have some experience of in my past, but for me they're like a window in a way. They're like a window into that. But I find for me, practices like the sweat lodge can help you find that place more consistently, if you like, without needing to use any external substances, if you like, but through.
Well, how often would you recommend the sweat lodges? Like, if it's throughout the year, would it be like every 3 months? It would be once every month? It would be once a year? How often?
It depends on I mean, for me, I do them every month, but
okay.
but there's no need. You don't actually need to do them every month. Obviously it's something that I'm really passionate about,
Yes.
And I provide that as a service to the community and to everyone that wants to sort of take part in the sweat lodge. But we had a lady join us at the weekend on Saturday who it was her first sweat lodge, and she was saying, I can see how people might come more regularly. And what I find, if people do come to a few sweat lodges, then they're able to work more deeply. And I think the difficulty in living and working in our society is that it's easy to get knocked off course. Whatever our spiritual practice or our spiritual path may be, it's easy to become ungrounded or not be knocked off course in some way. And I find, for me, the sweat lodge helps to bring you back to what's important, and reminds you in a way of the simplicity of life. We tend to overcomplicate things. We tend to get very can become neurotic or caught up in various scenarios.
Yes. It is the neurosis. Is it neurosis we call them? Yes.
Yeah, neuroses.
Yes.
That can happen. And actually, sometimes when you sit in the sweat lodge, you're just sitting simply on the earth, and it suddenly, it occurs to you that actually what is important in this life. What is important is that we're alive, and this life is an absolute gift and a blessing, and we should be so grateful just that we're here and alive now. And then you work from that basis, you know, and that, you know, your loved ones are well and healthy and so on and all that. So it helps you to develop that level of gratitude, I think, in of how fortunate we are, if we are.
Before we talked, I've probably you may have missed that at the start of the show. We talked about journaling as a way of you know, starting expressing and sharing, opening up your heart and connecting with your feelings more, and
journey.
The art of journaling, you know, writing things down, you know, like, but on a weekly not on a daily basis, like a cathartic experience. For me, that's another way of bringing the cathartic experience and the awakening, if you like. But also, you know, going back to books and reading a book, that's another way. Again, for me, I connect with you know,
certainly
another way of liberation or realization or whatever along these lines. So
there are many different ways, and I think, you know, it depends on each individual, you know, what's
absolutely. But we are blessed that we've got so much to choose from. That's great. But sometimes we don't know which ones to go to. So your contribution in the Book of Soulful Musings, you're gonna be we actually part of our conversations that they are included in the book. They will be about mindfulness. They will be talking about the sweat lodges. They will talk about the shamanic healing as well. So all of you wonderful people out there, including those of you who are part of this call tonight, you'll be able to nourish yourselves by lots of variety of wisdom conversations coming together in the book, which is beautiful. That's what I love. I love the diversity, and I love the collective energy around it as well. So you're not listening here only from one person. You hear from different people. It comes with different directions, with different angles. Beautiful. And also I would like to share here that Ysanne is the founder, the creator of the Turtle Lodge Festival that is happening on the 2nd and 3rd of June. If you like to know more about it, you find all the information, I believe, is on Facebook, and I will be there showcasing, partly showcasing Calomere's the calotherapy system I work with, but also mainly it's because we're going to be promoting the Book of Soulful Musings to a wider audience. And Sue Williams will be there. Susan Brooks, she's not on the call tonight, and also Sue Ritchie will be joining me on that day, on 2nd of June. Brilliant, Ysanne. Thank you so much for. Yes.
Thank you, Chrisoula. Look forward to welcoming you there.
Thank you. Last year it was wonderful. Okay, right. So Dean is asking, what is Sweat Lodge then? So what is Sweat Lodge? That's a. Would you just say a few words about it, Ysanne?
Yeah. The Sweat Lodge is a purification ceremony. So basically, it's practiced across the Americas. I learned about it from a guy who worked in Mexico and did a Temazcal. So the Sweat Lodge is a dome-like structure, and then outside there's a big fire, and we heat volcanic stones in the fire, and then we bring the stones into the lodge. In the center of the lodge is a pit, and we place the stones there, and then we douse them with water using herbs, so it creates like an aromatic steam. And the symbolism is that the lodge represents the womb of Mother Earth, and the stones represent our ancestors. So when you're going into the lodge, it's like you're going back into the womb. So it's a sacred, held space where you can journey, and you can go into different states, really, of consciousness through the process of the ceremony, really, and the ritual.
Yeah, you are there to guide the whole process, right?
Yeah, and hold the space for everybody, really, to experience what they need to at that time, depending on each individual. Okay.
The purification you mentioned it's about the cleansing as well of releasing. And they will talk about with Nichola before, releasing can come in different forms, different ways. So with the sweat lodges is another way of releasing, isn't it? Cleansing.
Yeah, it's another way of releasing, and I think some of that comes certainly in America. It's been used quite a lot for post-traumatic stress, and I think that's because, as Sherine was saying about the altered state with drugs, with the sweat lodge, you can get into an altered state, and you can sometimes able to deal with things that you're not in an ordinary state able to handle. But when you're in a higher state of awareness, you're able to sort of deal with it and process it more easily. So I think that's
I think we've got to go ahead and make it happen. We need to book Soulful Musings a weekend.
Well,
we're going to make it happen.
Well, Chrisoula, for the exhibitors at the festival, there is going to be an exhibitors sweat lodge the weekend before the festival.
I see.
And it's half price to exhibitors. So because the idea is to try and bring that energy. The inspiration for the festival was the sweat lodge. So it's trying to bring the energy of the sweat lodge into the festival to give that sense of connection and community.
Right. Okay, well, we've got to share a little bit about that in the closed group, in the Life Inspired Conversations group, right? Because I wasn't aware of that. Now, okay.
Okay, all right. I'll send you the letter.
All right, fantastic,
all
brilliant.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, the carry on with the conversation about cleansing and releasing. Something that I wasn't familiar with, and it's thanks to my involvement with radio and interviewing a number of people, and one of them is Ritchie. I actually found out more about the impact of how the gut can actually help us to be the best we can, healthy, creative, making decisions, clarity, and also we talk about weight loss beforehand, or releasing and cleansing. So Sue, I'll come to you. Ritchie, I'll come to you because you are the expert in the field of, and your book is called Love Your Gut. Okay, so let me just there you are. Now you're ready to talk to us. Hello.
Nice to see everybody. Really good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
I think it's very interesting, I think, about the gut, but also what everybody else has been saying, and releasing things, but also taking time to connect to yourself. Is something that we're really missing in today's busy world, and it's and I think because of that, things that are happening physically in terms of illness and stuff like that is because we're not totally connected with our whole self, and the gut is the most fundamental organ in our body. And I suppose it's strange as well because it's actually about microbes and microbiota and things that we would say isn't ourself, if we like. But as our bodies, we're 90% other microbiomes, and not only 10% is our DNA. So we're really our whole physical well-being and also mental well-being is actually controlled by what's actually happening in our gut. So it's if we want to stay in a good state of physical but also mental and emotional well-being, we really have to be aware and take care of what's happening in the gut, so that and it's about nurturing the body. But when I think about nurturing, it's in a much bigger sense of nurturing our whole self. So making sure that we feed our body good, healthy, natural food, making sure that we look after our mental well-being by taking time out, going out into nature, doing meditation, so that we're looking after everything and giving it the best environment, if you like,
Yes.
for everything to thrive and to do well. And I think a lot of people don't realize that the gut and the brain are connected and they speak to each other. So if the health of your gut isn't very good, then that actually is going to be affecting how you are emotionally and how you react in terms of anxiety and fear and stuff like that. That can be actually heightened in that state.
Well, I will bring in our conversation the actual calorie that connects with the digestive system and the gut is coral. And coral in the system of calomeres, in the calopsychology, it connects with how much you accept yourself as you are, fully accept yourself, every single bit, the good and the bad, as well as so the acceptance comes, and if there's any traumatic experience that stop you from accepting yourself, because you see a part of you, like separate from your whole, then of course there will be some lack of communication. Every single organ in our bodies is connected. So the gut is connected with the heart, and the heart is connected with our sort of third eye. The way we envision the world. So yes, it is. I don't know whether you can see it, but this is a beautiful coral. And as you said, Sue, if the gut is not in a good shape, then we won't be able to have the clarity to think, but also to feel as well, to connect with our hearts, which is incredible, really. That we just take it for granted. We do take it for granted, don't we?
We do.
Yeah. Yes. So your connection with writing and your book, you have been involved with writing for some years now. And you're one of the contributors in the book of Soulful Musings, and of course gut health. It is fundamental. It's the Book of Soulful Musings. It covers 4 main areas: mind, body, heart, and spirit. And of course, your contribution is definitely going to be under body, and then it may be somewhere else. It may be somewhere else too. It will be surprise. You never know. So what is, if you like to give a message to people that are going to be joining us tonight, but also who are going to be watching this back again, what would it be about your connection with books, your passion about books?
I think, well, for me, books have been a part of my life from childhood, and I have got some very, very special memories, if you like, of being read stories by my father and my mother and so on. But all along, books, I think it's really interesting, because what I found with books is, and I'll share with you actually, because we had that conversation on Friday, and you mentioned a really good book, which is the Big Leap, which I've read, and I said, oh well, I think I'll go and I haven't read it for a couple of years. I'll go back to it. And interesting thing that happened, and this happens quite a lot, is that it's amazing how books will actually draw you to them if there's something in them that you actually need to know right now.
Yes.
And I went to look for that book, and in the process of doing that, another book actually jumped out at me that I'd started to read, but I hadn't finished. And then I opened it up and looked, and it was like, oh yeah, I really need to read this right now. So I think so often, if you're in a bookshop and you're sort of looking at those books, quite often there'll be a book that starts to call you and you feel attracted to it. And what I would say is, if you're feeling that attraction, go with it, buy it, because it's probably exactly what you need to know. It's in it right now to help you.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, you'll tell us later which book then you're reading now, or would you like to share it?
Oh, it's a book called Leveraging the Universe.
Do you remember?
By Mike Dooley.
Okay, right. I haven't heard of this one. Right. Okay.
And it's very interesting actually, because you were talking, earlier about the I am God.
Yes. Yes.
And that concept is spoken about in that book as well. So
okay.
It's we have the power to create anything that we want to create.
Yeah, that's a very powerful sort of statement or sentence, to complete our conversation, our soulful musings tonight. I also like to share that thank you, Sue. Thank you, Sue Ritchie, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Sue Williams, Nichola, Friel, Jason, Sherine, Dene. I like to mention a little bit about Dene's book. I haven't read it yet, but I had conversations already about it, and I've seen Dene talking about it at an event in London organized by Marina and Darinani. So Dene, your book is called The Thinking Revolution, right?
Yeah. So I actually got it here.
Yeah. Hey, fantastic.
Yeah, I've been really interested in this idea of God and us creating, because my proposition basically, and it's a theme that really runs through the book, is that we have a deep need to create. Mm-hmm. It's actually a part of it. It's one of our core needs, and everyone has it. And actually a fundamental problem for me around the world is we actually don't understand what creation means. If you ask people what creativity is, they'll say, oh, it's people who can write books or create music or paint pictures. Mm-hmm. And we've had phrases tonight saying that, when you really believe it, you can create whatever you want. And my proposition is we're creating our future all the time in everything that we do. Mm-hmm. Most people are creating unconsciously, and therefore they get a result, and they don't really understand their role in creating that result. Mm-hmm. And there's a fantastic line by Carl Jung, which is something that it's sort of a fundamental part of. I actually quote it in The Thinking Revolution, but it's part of the foundation, and that is, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Mm. And that is, for me, it's such an important line. It's not just a great quote, but I think it captures this idea that we really do create the way in which we live in every minute of the day. So everything that I do with my clients and what I write about is, if you're going to create that, create it consciously.
Yes.
So that's really what it's about for me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dene. Thank you. I will be uploading the show on my YouTube channel. So it's if you haven't subscribed on it yet, please do, because then you'll be able to be notified whenever a new show is coming up. And thank you all for joining in here tonight, celebrating books, celebrating creativity, celebrating consciously creating our lives, and being more mindful, being more bring more joy in everything we do, in our interactions and relationship with others, but above all with ourselves, because when you read a book, it's a very personal intimate relationship you have with the book. And I think the books are the best friends for me. They are the best friends, because you can just communicate with them, and they give you back, but they don't ask anything in return, do they? So it's gorgeous. So thank you for joining us. Thank you. Carry on believing in books, sharing your passion about books, writing, whatever that feeds your soul and lights you up. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll be back with more interviews and more shows on the Golden Muse TV. Lots of love from me, Chrisoula, and from my guest today. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.